There is something very magnetic about people. When we go a little bit deeper on that, we realize that they are magnetic because they are themselves. How you become to be your true self and show who you really are.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're just delightfully dysfunctional, just like the person next to you, just like the person that wrote the book. You know, we all have these weird things that go on our head. Thinking of also doing one kind of centered around the workplace as well, about being chaotic in organizations and how actually organizations need creativity and they don't need necessarily somebody who checks all the boxes. Sometimes having somebody who's outside of the box can also bring something to an organization. It's about breaking down these kind of rigid structures that we have in society and just saying, everybody is a contributor to society.
So please, grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
Welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. My main purpose, women empowerment through the lens of branding. And women empowerment doesn't mean only women. And we are looking the way to giving a voice to different perspectives and different people that wanted to have that voice and share their own story that ended up being our own brand. There is something very magnetic about people that sometimes we don't know what is that. And when we go a little bit deeper on that, we realize that they are magnetic because they are themselves. And that is when I am giving the big welcome to Josh Dillon.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure having you here.
Happy to be here.
And to share part of your story. And the topic that we are going to approach today is how you become to be your true self. That is something that if you connect that with branding and how to build your brand, is something that really reflects your true self and show who you really are. That is your brand. Some people are talking about branding and they are related. No, it's just the logo and the image. And yes and no, because it's what is inside. So let's start and digging on who is Joshua and how you normally introduce yourself.
Wow. Okay. So that's actually, thank you for having me as well. I'd like to start off by saying that it's really much what we've been talking about in our last meeting as well, just authenticity and truth. And, you know, it's something that takes a minute to establish. You have to figure out who yourself is, and that takes time. Yourself is constantly evolving. So it's something that we should be true to, but it's something that you need to work on to be able to figure out who exactly it is and fit it into this place. So sometimes it's good to be true to yourself, but sometimes the right time to activate yourself in your true self isn't there yet. So you need that time to get everything together and look at what you're actually doing, look at what you're bringing, look at what brings you purpose. And that's where people are coming to me now, because they've had that time to germinate, they've had that time to have a conventional standard professional career with a 9-to-5, and then from that they've been able to see what they would like to contribute to the community. And then we can start to package, because then they understand who they truly are. So let's talk a little bit about me.
Yeah, that was already, because I'm so curious what makes you arrive to this point, because sometimes we have many reasons that are shaping who we are, but it's always a trigger. There is something there that is pushing us a little bit further to working in ourselves. So I'm so curious, and please share with us, who are you? What are those details that everybody wants to know?
So everybody kind of knows that I'm a bit of an odd one. You know, I've had a bit of a varied background. I started off my kind of adult life studying psychology in England at Canterbury University. Then whilst I was studying for my degree in psychology, I started working in retail just as a shop boy, just in a nice high-end department store. Then I started to get really involved in the British heritage brand called Jaeger. And then I started doing kind of regional merchandising for them, going around to try and improve sales by making stores more appealing to clients. And then I did my dissertation on a project that was looking at self-esteem and how people interact with retail spaces to try and make retail spaces more encompassing for everybody. Then after graduating, I left Canterbury and moved to London. London, I worked for Harrods of London. I worked with several high-end brands in the men's tailoring department, going from kind of being a visual person on the shop floor to then helping streamline operations behind the scenes, to then building up a client base and working in private sales and whatnot. So had a very varied career in Harrods, being able to dip my fingers wherever I wanted to go into building in-house little fashion shows.
What an amazing experience, isn't it?
So much fun. You know, I can remember walking around Harrods, and it's a building that you're in every day, and you end up awe-inspired because you're just like, wow, I get to come here every day.
Yeah.
Some people only get to come here once in their life. I get to come here every day. I even do my food shopping here.
You end up living the
You
experience
end up
as it
living
is.
it. It's crazy when you work in a place like that. You end up living and breathing the environment as
Yeah.
well. So this is, again, what we were talking about in one of our conversations about authenticity. You know, you only really truly find, I think, fulfillment in your life when everything is kind of aligned. So being in Harrods, being surrounded by all these lovely things and all these lovely people and all these exciting innovations in the world of fashion and interior and all of this, and to have that heritage, it felt like a really fun and safe place to just springboard who I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is
because
not easy, huh?
It's really not. Because I remember my previous role when I was in Canterbury working for Phoenix, I used to say sorry all the time. I'd go to people and be like, I've got a question. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just need to, I'm just so sorry. And then one time the head buyer turned around to me and she says, if you say sorry to me one more time, I'm slapping you out of the store.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I am so sorry.
So sorry again, but it's the last time
It's
that
the
I say
last time
sorry.
I'm saying-
You touch upon an amazing topic about saying sorry.
Mhm.
And one person started telling me sorry all the time, but all the time doing wrong things and wrong things. So a sorry without correcting what you are doing wrong is not a genuine
It's
apology. It's not a genuine sorry. It's not. So I think, saying sorry is something that we need to learn when to use it,
Yeah.
but not as a part of, I'm doing wrong or whatever. Sorry. Yeah, I love that you brought that because I wanted to say
It's
that in
so
some
true,
point.
though. It's so inauthentic. Like,
Yeah.
you may genuinely be sorry, but you're not that sorry because you're saying sorry, I'm interrupting you. You know that you're actively doing it, but you'll keep on doing it. And the way you're trying to mitigate it by adding the word I'm sorry in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, I just remember coming out of that experience and stepping into London and being like, this is a new bubble for me. This is a chance to really explore who I am, to just be myself, and also, like I said to you, unapologetically myself, like either like me or lump me, I'm Marmite, take me or leave me.
I love that.
Exactly.
Determination is what is really moving the world.
Be,
Yeah, it's true.
And from that, I kind of, I was a bit like, okay, let's test this out, let's test that.
Yeah.
And London is a great place to kind of springboard because it's so big and you can just really be who you want to be. There's no personality too loud. There's no personality too quiet. It's just a bubbling point of cultures and different people. So it's really a chance for you to be who you want to be. And then, like I said, so working in an environment that felt like it aligned with me as well. I'm not saying I'm the typical Harrods client, but, just I love fashion. I love seeing how people are trying to evolve conventional things. Shopping is just go and pick something up and leave.
Yeah.
How do you turn that into an experience? How do you make it bespoke? How do you make it for the person? Then I decided, London was I was coming to the end of my time in London, and I was a bit like, oof, it's nice, but it's lonely. And I had a lot of good friends in Luxembourg, and I was constantly visiting Luxembourg. And I decided to take a bit of a break, reassess where I wanted to go, career-wise, maybe do some traveling. And then I ended up moving to Luxembourg. Supposed to just be for a short period to visit a friend.
No worries. We all said it's for a short period, and we end up here for years and years and years.
I didn't even come here with a job. I was just going to look after my friend after an operation and then go off to Bali,
Yeah,
and then
amazing.
all of a sudden, a few months later, I ended up married. So
Well,
the
that
job
things
in
happen.
Luxembourg. And I ended up working in a completely different field. It wasn't anything to do with psychology. It wasn't anything to do with retail or fashion. It wasn't anything to do with design. I ended up working in education for an American university.
No, I cannot believe that story.
Really?
I mean, this is really a big shift that you made.
Yeah, I went from being like full creative, being able to do kind of free reign to I'm an administrator for a university. And
Oh
at
my goodness.
first, when I had my interview, I will admit, I did not know what an MBA was. I thought it was an honor you received from the Queen.
You do. I love that. This is very good.
I know. It's so, but you live and you learn.
Yeah,
this is what I love
exactly.
about life. You're constantly learning. And I turned that learning about what I was doing into something that became a career, which has led me to where I am now. So, you end up just, what I loved about working in education though, and what I really think that was a catalyst to where I am now, because you're surrounded by people that aren't doing education because it's compulsory. You've got people in their 30s that have, 20s or 30s that have just come out of undergraduate programs or gone back to do another undergraduate program. Or you've got people in their 40s, 50s, sometimes even their 60s, actively seeking out higher education programs that run outside of working hours in their free times. So you're all of a sudden surrounded by people that want to become a better version of themselves. And I remember leaving the office sometimes at 6:30 and being like, oof, my students are just starting class now, because classes would run from 6:30 till 9:30 at night. And then I'd be sitting at home at about 8 o'clock having my glass of wine and be like, oh, I don't know how they're doing this,
Yeah.
But then you see them, and after you've been in that world for a couple of months, you see what it's doing to them. You see what the self-work that they're putting in, the hard work, the dedication to doing a full-time job, managing their families and their personal lives, and then still giving up time to at least once a week, minimum. You're saying, some of them were in class every night of the week from 6:30 till 9:30. That's 3 hours. Every hour in class, we said you need to do 2 hours of external work as well. So for every hour they're in, that's 3 hours of work. So you're looking at that 3 hours and thinking that's 9 hours. And I'm like, I don't even have time to deal with my laundry.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? And it's actually really interesting because listening to people helped me understand this motivation to want to go further, to want to become the better version of yourself, to want to learn something new, to upskill, to move forward, and it doesn't happen sequentially. When you're at school, you're told you're going to finish this compulsory school. You're then going to go off to some voluntary school before you go on to do your undergraduate. Then from your undergraduate, you'll go on to do a master's. And then boof, you're an employee, you're out in the world and you're specialized and you're doing this. Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not how the world really works.
No, especially today, isn't it? Probably in the Industrial Revolution, that was like that. And we were seeing how our parents, that was probably what they say to us. But today, look at you. I mean, you have been in the fashion industry, fashion world. And now you are in the education world.
And then now my own consulting
And now
space.
your own consulting.
And then an author.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is actually what I love to put it together, in the sense that there have been probably many lessons that you have been learned. And one of those that I wanted to bring here is an amazing book that you wrote. That I say amazing. I need to read it.
Well, actually, you didn't see me sneak this in earlier, but I do have a little present for you. It's a signed copy of my book,
Oh
my second book.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much.
No
Yours
problem.
is an honor for me, because what took my attention here, it was the name of the book. So Delightfully Dysfunctional
Exactly.
is something that I will like you to share with us.
Yeah.
All the reasons that make you write this book, and what is the main. I know people can go and buy it. Please don't just.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Actually, yes, I can see a beautiful graphic design as well. But what make you write this book, choose that name? Because here we are talking about branding, and you have been building, when you had your experience in Harrods, all the experience about why the people are buying certain brands.
Yeah.
And now I wanted to ask you, what did you end up choosing this name and writing this book, and what is the main message behind that?
So it's actually you know, what I really loved about writing this book is that it took me back to my university days. I loved studying psychology, and you can ask my partner. I'm always this type of person that I'm just sitting down and I'm just reading, constantly researching. I just love to, as much as I seem like an extrovert, my favorite thing is to sit on my sofa with my dog, her in one arm, iPad in the other arm, and just scrolling and just reading through and just seeing what's going on in the world. And you know, the first chapter of the book is kind of a love letter to all the weirdos out there. So it kind of explains why I did it. But I remember one day just looking at my phone and thinking, God, do you know what? My phone makes me swear so much. You know, like you scroll through Instagram, you scroll through the news, you scroll through wherever you're getting your information from. You're just like, what is happening to the world? Then I started looking into the science behind swearing, and I have done a lot of research in the past, just looking at various things. You know, like I start my toe, I swear, I sing and dance with my dog, I talk to myself, I write on mirrors when I have ideas. You know, is this normal?
Maybe I am this kind of weird, but
but to act normal feels weird to me.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I wrote this mini paper called I published it on LinkedIn. It was called Swearing in a World That's on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And how cathartic swearing can actually be. You know, just if you stub your toe, it can actually help with pain management, to just let out a little, instead of actually longing on the pain. You know, if you're in a tough social situation and you're with a good friend and they're really down, a little blip word can actually change the mood, change the perspective, change all of this. So I started to put together a little bit this research into one paper and just wrote a mini paper about how swearing can actually make you feel good, and how there are so many faux pas or kind of things in the world that people judge you for that you shouldn't be judged for. You know, like so I had fun writing that paper. And then the book will tell you, as with everything that happens in my wine, it starts with a good glass of white wine.
Sorry, this podcast, in general, we don't consume alcohol for them.
That's fine. You are my life courage here in this moment.
Okay.
So but I was just having, you know, it was a rainy day. I was dancing with my dog in my apartment.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, you know what, Joshua, what are some things that you don't like about yourself? Because I was trying to do something. I was trying to be productive and I couldn't be productive.
Yeah.
So I just decided, you know what, let's just annihilate my own personality in the comfort of my own home. And I'm quite often writing on mirrors and windows with board markers, mind mapping all the time.
Creativity.
Exactly. For me, it helps to see things. So I was like, so what are things that are potentially not normal or potentially counterproductive that you do? So I started thinking, okay, ugly crying and screaming into pillows,
Okay.
singing, dancing, procrastinating, moments of idleness, these little things that people attach a negative stigma to.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the data, they're not that negative. Procrastination allows for fresh air to come into your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Idleness, if let's say you and me were working on a presentation and I said, let's take a 30-minute nap. Not that I nap, I can't nap. But if I said,
A
let's
break.
take a break or something. Just because you break doesn't mean the idea is gone. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. The idea is still there. It's germinating. It's processing in the back of your
Yeah.
mind. So we may be sitting there for the 30 minutes being like, we should get back to work. We should really, it's there. We've got a deadline to hit. No, actually embrace that, take the time to just do something silly. You know what I mean? Like, and just then you will actually maybe come back recharged, refreshed. So I decided to just start saying, okay, instead of leaving all these random interesting papers that I've read just lying in bookmarks somewhere on my web browser,
Let's put it all together.
put it all together. Let's start building some exercises. And that's why it says, 11 essays to help keep you strange and sane,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a book that you need to read from front to back in a specific order. I recommend reading the first chapter so you get an idea.
I opened it and what appears took my attention because it was talking about the inner power.
Yeah.
And how it's many things. I mean, I am just wanted to say what is inner speech, for example, is something that said here.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that it is very related with the version that you tell to yourself every day. What do you say to yourself?
Well, the reason I built this chapter as well, because I start to talk about your inner monologue. And then in the research of doing the inner monologue research, I realized that some people don't even have an inner monologue. Some people don't. It's scientific. And even the way that we imagine things, you could say to somebody, imagine an apple. Some people will imagine a gorgeous red apple on a table with background, etc. Some people will literally just see white with a black outline of an apple. So we have a whole spectrum of not only how we interpret things, but how we perceive things, how we download things, how we break things down. So the main thing that I really wanted to get across in the book is that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just delightfully dysfunctional, just like the person next to you, just like the person that wrote the book. We all have these weird things that go on in our head. It was originally supposed to be 15 essays, but then I started to find more and more topics. So there will be a Delightfully Dysfunctional 2. I'm thinking of also doing one kind of centered around the workplace as well, about being chaotic in organizations and how actually organizations need creativity and they don't need necessarily somebody who checks all the boxes. Sometimes having somebody who's outside of the box can also bring something to an organization. It's about breaking down these kind of rigid structures that we have in society and just saying everybody is a contributor to society.
Yeah, that brought me just to a point in which I realized that being aware, probably the most difficult part in life is being aware of being aware.
It's a cycle, isn't it?
It's a cycle. And the point and what I am saying that is because what you are saying is beautiful in the sense that if I can apply that in my life, but how people can reconnect with the sense of be aware of that specifically.
Yeah. So it's tough though. because you need to do the work as well to identify those things in yourself. I've had people that have wanted to work with me, and I've been like, okay, so what are we going to work towards? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's fabulous. Let's grab a piece of paper. Let's mind map. Let's put your name in the middle. Let's look at different areas that you want to look at. If after 2 hours of time with somebody like that, they're still not clear on where they are and where they want to go, I can't help them because they haven't done that work on themselves so far.
Yeah.
It's not about making yourself fit into conform. It's about embracing yourself.
Yeah.
It's about learning that everything makes you unique. That's the reason we all have different fingerprints. That's the reason we all have different DNA, because we're not a copy and paste. We are all individuals. And we all bring different things to the table. I love myself, but I am not going to date myself or marry another version of me. Oh my God, I would not like that at all. But for some reason, my boyfriend loves all the things about me,
Exactly.
So it's about, realizing what you can bring, what you do contribute, and what your benefits are,
Yeah.
and, how you actually make how you impact people.
Mm.
That conscientiousness, that
Yeah.
awareness, you have some people that don't look beyond themselves and just think that they are enough to contribute. And they may be, but the people that I tend to surround myself with, my friends, the people that I work with, they're really introspective. They deep dive into themselves a lot.
I wanted to ask you related
Yeah.
with, you have been giving a lot to the universe, you have been helping people, you have been writing this book that is helping people,
Yeah.
where you're working right now as well. And actually we have been, and I say we with my husband and myself, we have been seeing as well that we love to give. It's something that is in ourselves and we love to give. And as well, there is a lot of people that love to take. And this is not good or bad. This is just a piece of information.
Yeah.
But what is your concept related with that, and how you manage that in order for you to know when to stop and when to continue giving?
It's so funny. I was just talking about this pretty much quite very recently. It's a topic that comes up quite a bit because I am a giver. I do give a lot of time, energy, and I don't ask for much in return, Um, and my boyfriend is very unhappy about that because kindness doesn't pay the bills.
That is an amazing phrase. I think we are going to put that in the frame of this podcast, actually.
Literally, and it is tough for me because one of the things that keeps me motivated is seeing the results. And the results for me are positive impacts in people's lives. Yes, I want to go into everything with my naive, open eyes that, do you know what, I'm going to help. Everything's going to work out fine. Da, 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 da. And I honestly thought, I've had a few experiences where it hasn't worked out that way. I've given the help and then takers.
Giving without expectation is a very good first step.
Exactly. Yeah. And I honestly thought it would demotivate me. I thought, not getting in return would have demotivated me. It hasn't actually. I've been able to survive, sustain, to grow, doing things the way I like to do things.
Okay.
I didn't start Josh's Niche Bureau to become a multi-billionaire and to have a big, massive consulting firm and to buy a high rise and have my initials on the top of it or anything like that. That's the reason why in all of my material, it says it's a boutique, it's bespoke, it's for each person, it's for individuals. I don't overexert myself. I give the bandwidth that's required to each and every single project or association or person that I'm working with, because that's fulfilling for me. And that's where all of it came out of, working in high-end fashion, you start to realize it's just for money. It's just for this. You know, the kind of brands that you get to work with that are really doing it for the craftsmanship are slowly dying out. And all of them are being purchased by conglomerates that just want profits over
Yeah,
the
exactly.
craft.
Yeah.
Then you go to a total shift swap and you end up in education and you see the amount of effort and time and energy that individuals are willing to put into themselves to try and become better versions of themselves. And then you understand that energy still exists in the world, but it's a dying light. And we need people like myself, like yourself, to fan those flames, to keep those fires burning, to keep that want to grow and to become a better version of yourself going. So that's something that may not make my boyfriend happy, but makes me happy.
He's not going to listen into this episode, no.
Exactly. It's fine, you know. I think at the end of the day, as long as I'm smiling, he's smiling, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it can be a double edge because you do feel like, okay, you know, there is only so much I can give. But then every time I hear somebody new coming up to me and saying, Josh, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
run. Let's do it. Let's make it happen, you know? And I'm working with a very good friend. We're working on 3 projects at the moment, which I'm keeping very close to my chest, but they're all about community growth, about, you know, along the same lines of what I'm doing. And we've worked together on multiple projects in the past, so I know that we can really ignite that. Then with the work that we're doing on those 2 projects, one's a masterclass, one's a educational program, then that's instigated. She's like, I have this friend. We want to build a community. You are the perfect person to come in on this. So then we're working together on all of these things. So bringing together people and just working together. I don't mind where it goes. I hope it goes in a nice direction all the time. I'm always incredibly positive and optimistic about the direction that things are going to go in. But until then, I really enjoy the ride. I really just enjoy hearing people as much as I am talking. I love listening as well.
I love that.
Exactly, you know, and I just feel like you can learn so much and grow just by spending time with people. Yeah, so
I agree
really,
with you.
yeah.
I mean, building the community, especially here in Luxembourg, and that have been as well part of what I have been doing and wanted to make people feel the sense of belonging. I consider Luxembourg my home.
Yeah.
And this is what I am doing around, you know, when I have those conversations with different people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, then we have this commonality that is we are here in this ground and we need to feel this sense of belonging
100%.
that I have been seeing that have been very lost in the people just doing things or spending short periods of time here in Luxembourg and then leaving. But in the meantime, enjoying the journey. I mean, I think is what you just said is very beautiful. And I have to say, Josh, thank you very much for sharing a part of your story, because I know that that can be a conversation for hours and hours that we can do in many different occasions. But as well, what you will say, just to start to wrap up, to all those people that are feeling a little bit lost right now because they haven't found this connection to find their true self, that is what have been you bringing to the stage that you are.
Okay, one thing I do say, I say this to everybody all the time. Don't stress. Don't stress. If you start stressing about trying to refine yourself, redefine yourself, identify, you are you. Think of a seed. You can put a seed in the ground at any time of the year you want. I could put one in the ground right now. If I put a tulip in the ground right now, it's not going to grow. It's not the right time. But it doesn't mean the tulip isn't there.
Yeah.
It just needs the right conditions. I really do think that people need to look at things more holistically. It's very easy in such a case of, you know, let's say somebody's having a burnout. They attribute the burnout to their job. I had a burnout. I attributed the burnout to my job. it wasn't till I got into another job I realized actually everything was wrong. I was in an unhappy marriage. I was in a trap position. And I was just using work as a pace to say, this is the issue. But I wasn't looking at everything holistically. Coming out of everything, starting from when I first moved into my current apartment about 2 years ago, we're coming up to the 2 years since I've been divorced and started my life again. That's where 2 years ago, that's where JMB came from. 2 years ago, that's when I'd been writing books since I was at university, but never gotten anywhere close to 50% of a book completed. In that apartment is where I wrote 2 books. I've got 4 other books on the go, a mini series on the go. I started my own consulting space. So don't stress.
Yeah.
It took me to the age of 34 to start realizing who I truly was and what I could bring. Some people don't realize it until they're in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s. It doesn't matter when. You will find yourself. And surround yourself by good energy. I'm not saying go out and buy crystals. You know, if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. But for me, my good energy is not having thousands of friends, but having a handful of people that I can call when I need. You know, some people don't have families. Some people, you know, especially in Luxembourg, a lot of us are expats that have had to make our own lives, make our own communities, make our own families. Some of us aren't even in the same time zones where we can phone our family if we need them. Make your environment right for you. Make it right. And once everything else around you starts to feel good, you'll start to feel safer. You'll start to feel more comfortable to push those boundaries and explore yourself. But really, everything comes from building your foundation, and then you can build the high rise that is you. But beyond doing that, if you're not surrounded by the right energy, the right people, the right environment, you're just going to have pressure pushing you down all the time. So don't stress. You are you. You do exist. You are tangible. You just need to find the right conditions to, as I always say, keep going, growing, and then glowing.
I love that. I love that, Josh. And I congratulate you in the sense that vulnerability was the mother of your creativity and how you bring all these creations and you are the person that you are today. You have a beautiful brand in the sense that your brand is yourself, being your true self. And I think that there is already an inspiration behind this. Thank you for sharing your lessons with us.
Nope.
And if people want to contact you, LinkedIn is going to be the right place, I guess.
LinkedIn is always fantastic. My website is also up, jmb.lu. There's contact forms on there, my email address, even my phone number if you want to, you know, like.
Okay, fantastic.
I'm definitely not hard to find, and I'm always out and about with my dog. So even if you see me on the streets and want to say hello, I'm always up for a chat.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you for this beautiful gift. I'm going to read it and I'm going to make the most of that. Thank you for this gift.
I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm grateful by having you as a listener on this episode. I am in the mission of empowering thousands of women around the globe, and I need your support for that. Help me to spread the voice by sharing this episode and subscribe to our social media channels. And remember, if you want to listen to exceptional stories and have someone that inspires you, please get in touch with me because I would love to have them as a guest to learn from their experience and share their story with you next time. So until the next episode, ciao ciao.